Welcome to the new show, Practical Philosophy for Joyful Living in Stressful Times. Sounds easy enough when you say it, doesn't it? But it's seemingly quite a hard thing to do, especially in our day and age where we have many things to contend with. Family life, viruses, civil unrest, financial hardships, and a host of many other irritating and debilitating things we have to contend with. So how can we live joyful through all the things that go on in our lives? Is there a way of doing it? Well, I can say 100% yes, but you mustn't take my word for it. Hopefully, and I use the word hopefully in inverted commas because we don't need hope, but as we go through this course of practical philosophy, and this is just the introduction to it, perhaps you might find better choices than you already have at this moment in time. Now, the worst thing that can happen is you ignore everything that I say, it's total garbage, and you wasted a few minutes of your time. But there's so much garbage on television today and in the news that it might be a tad less garbage than everything else that's out there. That's the worst thing that can happen. But let's see what we can explore together. And I will open it up after the first few lessons so people can join in and talk to me. But this is just an introduction today to see if anybody is actually interested. If they're not interested, then I won't do the other courses, obviously. But if we can get enough people to come in and to watch and listen to this stream, then perhaps we can find the next way to find the lessons. Now, if your fairy godmother came down to earth and gave you 3 wishes, I think most sane people would wish for 3 things. I think they'd wish for health, for enough wealth to secure the future and their families, and to live a happy life on earth. I think that's common to every person throughout the world, no matter where they live. Whether they're living in a mud hut somewhere out in Africa, maybe even in the rainforests, or even if they're living in a trophy home with a zillion rooms and mega yachts, they still might have all the money, but they might not have the serenity of mind, peacefulness, and the joyfulness to live every moment on earth in joy. And that is the yardstick. The yardstick is it possible to live 24/7, 365 in a total state of joy throughout your life? And like I said at the beginning, it is. It's possible. It's easy to do. However, there's many obstacles in the way of that ease. And the major obstacle isn't circumstances that are going on around us. It isn't other people in our lives who are the obstacle. We are the only obstacle that stops us from living 100% joy every moment that we're on earth. We're the only ones because we have the control of our mind. Or do we? Well, the first question I will ask is, do you control your thoughts, or do your thoughts control you? Seems an easy question, doesn't it? Most people will say, well, I control my thoughts. I've got a degree. I've quite sufficient in my life. I feel quite comfortable within myself, although sometimes I get taken out of that zone. I have a worry or an anxiety. And I would ask, well, if you have a worry and anxiety, how come you're having a worry and anxiety if you're controlling your thoughts? Why would you want to accept a worry? Because all worries pass and all are illusionary. Yet we deem them to be real. And they are real to the person that deems them to be real. So we have three facets, like I said. There is your health, your wealth, and your happiness. And this course in practical philosophy will be dealing with all those subjects as we go through the courses. Now, I don't know how long this course is going to last. I have not prepared anything. This talk here isn't prepared. It's spontaneous. I'm doing it on the spur of the moment. And I'm going to see where it's going to take us all. It might take us nowhere, but it might take us somewhere. And we might get a big enough audience throughout the world that we can make a difference together. Now, just a few things about me. I don't belong to any organization. I'm not religiously affiliated to any organization, although I was born Jewish and I still have a Jewish identity, but the religion side of it, I've kind of questioned over the years, ever since I've been a kid, really. But I've gone through the rituals of it, but now I question it a little bit deeper. But every religion of the world has started out with truth. But as time has gone on, that truth has expanded itself into ideas and dogmas, which has caused the death of millions of people throughout time. The annals of history is littered with people who have died with religious wars. And not only different religious wars, but wars within the same religion, where one side was killing the other side because of their different views. And it still goes on today. It's not changed in any respect. And then on the other side of the religion is politics. And there's a left side to politics, a right side of politics. Very few people are centered, so they can see the full picture of it. And most people have views on the left or the right, which can agitate them, because if the right side is in power, then all the left side is going to be agitated, majority. If the left side is in power, then the right side is going to be agitated. And on it goes. So you've got religion and politics, which are the two main driving forces. And then in the middle of those is the media. And today's media is split into mainstream media you see on television and newspapers. And today we have social media as well, where people can get involved talking like this is here. This is a form of social media. But this is what you call a delicate form of social media, because there's no dogma attached to what I'm going to be talking about. And you have the choices to turn it off whenever you want. Now, if you want to follow through on this course, then I'll slowly start to explain in each facet of our lives how we can deal with financial circumstances so we don't get hoodwinked into parting with our money when the stock market is trading too high or when experts are telling us something. Understand this, that there are very many experts in this world today with high credibility. And they might start off with modicums of truth. But as they go through their ritual of talking, it might be that they're going to end up selling you a product or a service that might not be 100% authentic. But because they're an expert and they've got credibility, they can hook people into it. Then there are simple-minded people like myself that has no credibility. I left school at 16. I've had no formal education as such in universities. I don't belong to any organisation, so I can't claim to be behind an organisation that's going to be backing me up with what I'm going to be saying. And the only credibility is the way I live my life in an honest and true form. And I have done from being a kid. I went in business at 19. I started with very little money, £100 in England. And I built up from the street markets, I built up into a wholesale textile corporation, commercial property, and stock market investments, and retired at 46. So for me, it was easy because I didn't try to make money. I just tried to have fun. And when the fun stopped and it was no longer fun doing it, I walked away from a very successful business and came over to the States. And then I took 6 years of time out, sitting on my balcony overlooking the ocean and the stars at night. And I was asking many profound questions. So if you want to know where my information's come from, it's come from no books, because I've read no books of note throughout my life. I've had no time to sit down and read a book. It didn't interest me. Watched many movies, and I love classic movies. So you could say I get information from a lot of the movies that I watch. And I had no time for education. I left school at 16. So none of that has tainted my mind. My mind is free of education, basically. And it's got a lot of knowledge stored in there too. But it's free of the knowledge too. Because I'm not 100% sure if any of that knowledge could be tainted or not. So although they are reference points in my mind, they have never guided my life in a way that has steered me off a true path for too long. Of course, we all get steered off the path for a certain amount of time, and things come along to shock us and give us some kind of a wake-up call. But I have realized when I took this 6 years of time out that there was something else, something that's not definable by science. And even religion can't really define it in its true form. And it's something that we, as human beings, and every other life form on Earth is part of. Whether it be a tree, a frog, cat or a dog, whatever it is, we're all part of that life force. The ocean itself is teeming with life. And all that life has an intelligence form to it. So if we understand we are one little, human beings are one little grain of sand in a quantum beach of intelligence, that doesn't mean to say that it demeans the intellect of the brain. The intellect of the brain is what we learn through, and it's an important part of our character, our personality, and our ego, and what we think we are. However, if it becomes the master rather than the server, and the intellect tries to govern its own intelligence, then you really get messed up. And you get mostly the world that we've lived and the history that we've seen that it's caused. Shakespeare and all his plays described it very well. Voltaire said many things. Many philosophers of the past have said things about what's gone on in the past. Well, even this is a philosophy course, maybe we can call it philosophy. Well, it is said that philosophy is a blind man in a dark room looking and searching for a dark cat that doesn't exist. That's philosophy, because all the philosophers in the world have never yet come up with truth. They've been arguing with each other for centuries, for thousands of years, basically, but nobody has actually come up with an absolute truth, because they can't. Philosophy cannot give you the truth. So why am I saying this and it's a philosophy course? Well, you've got to use some kind of a label. So this is purely a label to start the course off, so you can read the philosophy at the end of it. I sign my emails author, poet, philosopher, but they're pure labels on an email for people who don't know me. But none of those labels describe who or what I am. At the end of this course, you will find that you won't need any labels. Now, I've written 17 books. Because of the time out that I had for 6 years, it gave me incredible insights into the way the human psyche works, the way we're all connected to nature. And then I did research with a computer after the 6 years for 6 months and looked to see verification of the thought process that I'd come up with. And indeed, the sages of the past all verified what I was saying to be authentic. Many were killed for those views in their time in life. And they've all stood the test of time, though. And people quote them all the time. But that doesn't mean that they live that successful life themselves. Even Socrates, who was one of the greatest philosophers in ancient Greece, had to take hemlock rather than change his views. Well, if he was authentic to himself, he wouldn't have taken the hemlock. You don't have to kill yourself to prove yourself to other people. That's not the way you exist today. So even one of the greatest philosophers took what he took instead of saying, okay, I'm wrong. You all guys are right, and I'll get on with my life. But no, he was insistent. And that's what ego does. It makes you insist that you're right, and you've got to give people your points of view. Now, I don't have any points of view. I'm not hanging on to anything. I don't have any opinions. I work off 2 facets, truth and wisdom. And those 2 facets are inherited at birth. We all possess them. But tapping into them sometimes seems a difficult job. In fact, a lot of the times as we age, it's nigh on impossible because we already know what we know. When we're stuck in what we know, it becomes an unmovable object. And no matter how we're suffering, we'll endure the suffering rather than admit that what we're living isn't right. We know it's not right. We can't get out of it because what we know is restricting us. Now, what are the examples of that? Well, simple examples see all around us. People that smoke cigarettes, says on the packet, it'll kill you, give you emphysema and debilitating diseases. You read it on the packet every time you go out and buy it and spend your money. Yet people still smoke. Why? Habit forming, and they say, I've got to smoke. It relieves stress. Well, the opposite is true. Smoking actually gives you stress. For 5 minutes, it might give you some kind of relief from it, but afterwards, it'll increase your stress levels tenfold. So the myths of smoking are completely bogus. Next, what's next? Alcohol, alcoholic drinks. Cheers, let's have a drink. Well, what does it do? Well, it can relieve stress, a drink. Glass of whiskey, glass of spirit. Yeah, it's relieving what's going on in your mind. You get a bit drunk, but it's affecting your liver, your brain cells, and the cells in the body that function and keep you alive. And eventually, it'll turn into cirrhosis of the liver or so many other debilitating diseases that we've inflicted in ourselves because we thought we were doing the right thing. Tastes good, got a new habit. And I can go on and on about the many, many things that we do, overeating, the wrong types of food. And I will be going into all these things in detail, giving the choices of how we can have delectable, delicious foods without having to suffer the effects of junk foods. And a lot of the foods that we eat are natural, but they're still junk, some of them. And even today with veganism, a lot of the trend today is towards veganism, vegans. I can say majority of the processed foods that are in the supermarket, again, are total junk. You're better off having the earlier alternatives of the other junk, because the other vegan junk is only going to distress your body more than you think, and you're being deluded by it. So again, we're talking about being deluded, and now what I'm going to be saying isn't going to be popular for the majority of people. My books aren't popular. Some of them seem illogical to the academic mind, and they'd be correct. Some of the things that I write are illogical to a conditioned mind. They don't make sense to them. So they'll put the book down, they won't ever read them again. That's why I've never advertised and I've never used PR. Because if I try and convince somebody of something, I'm trying to put a point of view across to them. And I made a vow before I ever wrote one word down that I never ever going to try and convince anybody to buy or sell a book. And I never have. They say, well, you could have got millions of books out there and a lot of readers, and you might have made a difference. No, there's millions of books out there already, and there's a lot of very clever writers out there. Maybe they're missing something, some points that I can put on and maybe give some extra choices to. But these people go to seminars, been going for 30, 40 years, and yet they still can't find that joy every moment that they're living on earth. It's still eluding them, even though they're spiritually correct. They've gone through many courses, they know all the rituals, they've done the yoga, and yet things come along and knock them for six. Still, with all the learning that they've learned, because what we're going to be talking about really can't be learned, because you already know it. You already actually know it, but it's hidden from you. Like the blind philosopher, trying to find the truth. Trying to look for a black cat in a black room and you're blind. You can't find it because you're looking in the wrong place. It's not in the place that you think it's in. It's far more simpler than that. And there's a lot of simple people that I've met throughout my life who are the best philosophers in the world. Some of these guys are so simple-minded. They have fantastic ways of expression. I used to play golf with a guy, and he used to hit a ball, and he'd turn around to me and says, I hit that ball better than I know how. What a wonderful expression to make. Didn't know how he hit it, but he hit a fantastic golf shot. And I've seen people eat foods and things like that, which are all mixed up. And I would say, why are you eating it like that? You're mixing your foods up so much. And the simple answer would be, why? Is there something wrong with that? And actually wasn't for him. The guy is now 96 years of age. He's thriving. And he eats the way he wants to eat. He's never really eaten what you call a really healthy diet, but wasn't an unhealthy diet. And he ate in incredible moderation, very small portions. And he had great genes. And I call him an Neanderthal man. He has got the genes and the DNA to take him through life. But his main point that he is simple-minded. And he was a doctor. So there you are, a dichotomy. A simple-minded doctor. And every one of his patients loved him. We still remember him today. And he gets hundreds of greetings cards for his birthday. So you meet people along the road, and a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about is from my life experiences and the people that I've met. And the way we can start to control the thoughts so that we can live in our joyful state of mind. Now, I'm not going to go on and on with this introduction. I think I've said enough for people that want to join in on future talks. We'll start with the first talk, which will be on the easy part of living, and that is how to make enough money in our life to secure our future. That's very simple to do. No matter where you come from, no matter where you're living, there's an easy route to find that. Once you've made your money, how to invest it securely, how to use your inbuilt garbage protector which we've all got, to protect you against unscrupulous con people who are out there who seem very kind and very courteous and hook people in, either because they've got expert advice or they're very nice to you, they're schmoozing you a lot, and they want to coach you in to some kind of way of parting with your money. So we'll start with the financial side of it, because I was successful financially. I've proven that. And we've got to learn to know when enough is enough. And once we have that course intact, I'll go on to the health side of things. I don't know how many series we're going to do in each one. And then we'll go on to the mindset of it all. So one of the books that I've written is Well, Eat Well, Think Well, Live Well. So it's the eating well, thinking well, and then putting it into practice, living well. Because unless we put things into practice and live it on a daily basis, it's useless. Analytical philosophy hasn't got any sort of way of being put into every regular practice. So just to start off with, let's start off with a little bit of meditation. Meditation basically is, I'm meditating now while I'm speaking to you. It's a 24/7, 365 way of living. It's not something that you need to go into a room cross-legged. But to start with, there's our meditation practices. But they're not necessary, but we'll do one anyway. And I like to do it with metaphysical poetry that I've written. And I've done it before when I've been giving talks in the past. And the response I've got was outstanding from everybody in the room. So let's try it and let's see where we go with it. First thing is to do a few deep breaths into the count of 7, hold to the count of 4, and blow out to the count of 8. Just simple breathing. It's just clearing your lungs and clearing your mindset of what you need to clear, so that you're sitting comfortable, no crossed legs, no crossed arms, arms open so you can receive on your lap, and start to just relax yourself into a comfortable state of mind. Find your comfort zone. And I'm going to read from a new book that I've written called Solo on Inspirational Poetry. This isn't on my website, and you're not going to find it. The only place to find it is on Amazon. It's not advertised, and it's even hard to find on Amazon. So I'm not asking you to go looking for the book. No need to. And I'm going to start off with one of my poems, which can take you into the realm of joyfulness and feel the sensations while you're traveling into this realm. And the realm is the blissful silence. And here we go into the blissful silence. In the silence of my thought-free mind, I leave the pettiness of condition behind. I feel the exaltation of God's kiss. I truly am in a wondrous divine bliss. In my peaceful harmony, I immerse, floating, weightless, throughout the universe. I feel the comfort of a glowing ember in a timeless world, an ecstasy to remember. One on one, God as God in a field of gold. An endless flowing stream, never feeling old. Worth more than all the treasures can bestow. I rise up in an everlasting, eternal glow. In this peace of mind, beauty is all I find. This is the cosmos gift for all humankind. It's time to light the sacred torch. Don't be frightened. In silent meditation, you will be enlightened. On that score, and then on that note, I'm going to end today's introduction. It's a brief introduction. It barely covers the mass of stuff that I'm going to be talking about. And understand this: if everybody in the world, and all the knowledge of everybody in the world, and all the professors, and all the universities, and all the books in the world, were all squashed into this room here, it would not scratch the surface of what there is in the universe of what we need to know. But all that knowledge that we've already learned can distract from what we've just experienced in our silent zone. Now, scales need balancing, and the centering will come in due course. But all of this will come to you automatically. You're never going to have to try and do anything. You'll find that what I'm going to be talking about a lot of the time is everything that you're not. And when I've talked enough of everything that you're not, all that's going to be left is everything that you are. And on that note, we'll end this stream. And I wish you well until the next time. So stay safe, stay well, and Auf Wiedersehen, pet.